today is Tuesday, June 18th, 2020. We are here
16.
for a town board meeting. Please stand for the pledge.
John, was that you?
Catherine, can
John
you take
McAuliffe?
the lead, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Also, in keeping with our tradition of having a faith-based invocation, we have with us today Reverend Murray from the First Congregational Church. Thank you, Reverend.
Good wishes to you all. I hope that this day finds you well and enjoying life. Let us pray together. Good and gracious and holy God, we open our hearts afresh to you this day and give you thanks for our safe journeys thus far, for where we are and how we are, and for the prospect of new and bright days ahead. Holy One, fall afresh on us. Inspire our hearts with visions of genuine hope and promise. Help us, O God, to discern what is right and just. Bless us with wisdom, especially as we look to journey through these days ahead of global pandemic and human disparities. Holy One, do bless our leaders and our town and lead them in this, their meeting. In your great name we pray, and together we say, Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Wishing you well.
Thank you.
Likewise.
You too.
Before we get started with today's agenda, I would like to make a brief statement on and update on COVID. We are on phase 2 of reopening, which includes outside dining, retail, barber shops, hair salons, real estate, vehicle sales, leases, commercial buildings, management. Hopefully by next Wednesday, we should be moving into phase 3, which consists of professional and personal services, restaurants, food services, catering, cafes, and again, personal care. If you are looking for any updates, the state constantly updates their website. It's called New York Forward. You don't need to know the URL. All you have to type in is New York Forward, and you go into the industry type, and all the forms, everything that you need is there. We are also constantly updating our website, Town of Riverhead website, and you'll see on the right-hand side in red letters, you'll see COVID-19 updates, and you can click on that and you'll get most of the information that you need. I urge everyone to please ensure you maintain social distance protocols when you're in public. Yesterday, the governor threatened to close Long Island, and we waited way too long to start reopening Riverhead, and we are halfway there, and we never want to go back again. This meeting is being, you have 3 methods of viewing the meeting. You can go on to live stream channel 22, or you can log into the Town of Riverhead website, and also you have it can be viewed through Zoom and on the website. And I understand the phone number went out yesterday. It's on the agenda, and you can either dial in or you can audio go in through the audio part or the video part. Moving forward, can I have a motion to close the town board meeting and open the community development agenda meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Second, so moved. Devin, do we have any comments on the CDA resolution before us today?
So we're just going to see if anybody joining us via Zoom or over the telephone wants to make a comment on the CDA reso before us today. Chris Kent, did you want to comment on the resolution? No.
Yeah, I do want to comment on the resolution.
Okay. John McAuliffe, comment on the CDA resolution?
Sorry about the delay. No comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that was the other John, but okay, John McAuliffe? There's a delay for us to
Sean
unmute
Cohen,
you.
no comment if you can hear me.
Okay. And Foley.
Meant to vet, and by the way, thank you very much for reaching out through Lisa to let me know the change of the time. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, Hunter DeLuca. Comment on the CDA reso? Maybe we lost them. Okay, and then the phone number ending in 714. Did you want to comment on the CDA resolution?
This is Barbara Blass. I have no comment on the CDA resolution.
Okay, Barbara, got it. And that's it, right, Chip?
Okay, moving forward, Diane, can you please read the resolution? Or it'll be Dawn? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is resolution number 4, CDA of 2020. The resolution is entitled Authorizes Extension of License Agreement with East End Disability Associates, Inc. for property located at River Road, Calverton, and known as the Henry Pfeiffer Community Center. Need a motion.
Okay. Diane, you wanna take a vote on it, or you're not?
I could take the vote if you just.
make a
we need a-
motion.
We need a motion and a second.
I'll make a
Second.
motion. Great.
Okay, so it's Jody and Tim?
Yep. Okay, Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Chairwoman.
Yes.
And the resolution is adopted. We also need to adopt or approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 7th at 2 p.m.
So moved.
Seconded?
Okay, Frank, Tim. Okay, Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Chairwoman.
Yes.
The minutes of the special meeting of April 7th, 2020 at 2 p.m. have been approved, and that is all.
Okay, at this point, we'll open up for public comments.
Public comments on the CDA resolution or any other matters regarding CDA. You can open up everybody yet, Chip.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, John.
All right. I figured this would be most appropriate now since CDA bears the primary responsibility for the EPCAL question. I sent a message to the board a couple hours ago, which included an attachment of 4 recent articles. And in it, I gave a couple of paragraphs from each one about the status of the American Dream and the other financial situation with the Germaisians. And I wanted to quickly read those quotes. This is an article from NorthJersey.com. This is about the layoffs of 100 staff from American Dream. The quote is, "Some former employees are unhappy with their treatment by American Dream, including issues with communication and leadership. Richard Pilot, for one, said his last year working for American Dream was more like an American nightmare. He said there was no warning, no seniority, nothing, and the severance package turned out to be less than 1 paycheck." Then from Bloomberg, "The family's net worth has dropped to about $650 million from $2.5 billion in 2016, according to an estimate by the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Donna Laney, an executive assistant to 555, said the estimate is inaccurate. She declined to elaborate or provide another figure." From Forbes, quote, "Bond market news site The Bond Buyer reported investors are fleeing the bonds for the project, driving their value down to junk status. The American Dream is a nightmare," said one analyst quoted in the story. And finally, from Gloucester City News, "The American Dream Xanadu Mega Mall is the largest public subsidized development project in state history. The project received $350 million in direct state subsidies from EDA, plus another $800 million for financing, including $100 million for road improvements, bringing it up to $1.5 billion project." This project This project should be called the American Nightmare because it keeps getting worse. Every time there's a problem with this mega mall, they make it bigger and throw more public money at it. This mall is jinxed, and unfortunately, it is on state-owned land and financed with public money. We have backed this project with $1.2 billion of public money that could have been used for building schools, taking lead out of drinking water, or cleaning up our sites, said Jeff Tittle, director of the New Jersey Sierra Club. We really call them the American scheme for all of the subsidies and money and loans they have got out of New Jersey taxpayers. And my question is whether you have proceeded in any way or have a plan to proceed on the 2 letters you received, one from Mr. Kent, one directly from the Germaisians, in which the inducement of an advance payment of the town's money of $500,000 was offered if you basically waived your right to walk away from the deal. So I wondered if you could update us on the status of those letters and what your plan is in terms of dealing with them.
At the current time, the board has not decided to waive that right. There was a conversation with council, outside council, and the approach was, let's see what happens with the DEC designation before we decide to either move forward or not move forward. As far as, I know there's been some people advocating to do a financial background checks on the companies. I think you should wait as you get closer, if you're gonna go get to contract. There's no reason spending $40,000 now, and later on, the companies change and we have to spend that money again. We are dependent at the moment, we're awaiting DEC, either approval or denial. I am gonna reach out to them on Monday, see where we stand. Now that things are opening, phase 3 should afford us the ability to be able to contact and make contact with them, and even possibly have a meeting with them.
Great, I'm sure people will appreciate the fact that you're not waiving the right, and we will all have to see what the DEC says. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Okay, anyone else?
Can you unmute everybody? Chip?
Okay. Moving forward, can I have a motion to close the community development meeting, agency meeting, and move forward back to the town board meeting? Can I get a first and a second? Thank you. Okay, Devin, do we have any comments on, okay, we're waiting on to the, do we have any announcements?
We have reports.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make an announcement that we're going to keep the survey for the pattern book, the downtown revitalization survey, up until next Monday. We haven't, I mean, last time at this point, we had a lot more people that had weighed in. So I asked people to weigh in. I think that there's just a lot of distractions this year, and people have other things on their minds, and I understand that. But I do hope that you take this opportunity to weigh in and voice your thoughts and concerns about our downtown.
Okay. Okay.
Diane, do you want to offer any correspondence or reports, and then I'll open it up to public comments on the resolution?
Also have the report.
Under reports, tax receiver total tax collection to date as of June 10th, $140,591,849.39. Tax receiver April utility collection report, $184,534.62. The Water District submitted their 2019 annual water supply report. Under correspondence, there was a letter from Andrew Mitchell. He's in support of renaming a portion of Roanoke Avenue to Heroes Way. A letter from William Von Hillman requesting to the town to terminate the EPCAL deal. And I did get 2 other pieces of correspondence. John McAuliffe actually spoke about his own, so that one's on the agenda there. And then Ellen Hoyle sent a letter with regard to the 331 East Main Street project. And that's all.
we need the minutes, right? The approval of the minutes for the
Yes.
last,
No, actually,
Oh, it's on here.
it's on here, yeah.
we didn't get those back in time, so there
Okay.
actually are none.
Okay.
Okay, so
Next
we'll
time.
do it next time, no problem. Okay. Moving forward, any comments on the resolutions before us?
So if anybody wants to comment on the resolutions, we'll ask you to just unmute yourselves so we can see who's looking to make comments, and then we'll call you when it's your turn.
It doesn't seem like they're hearing you.
Can you guys hear me? Participants via Zoom and over the phone?
No comment on the resolutions.
Okay. Anybody else looking to make a comment, they can unmute themselves?
I
Seeing
guess
nobody?
they're not. Yep.
Actually, I know that Barbara Blass wanted to make a comment. I don't know which one she is.
She's
but-
714, the last digits are 714. She hung up the call.
Okay.
She must have lost service.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, hearing no one, we're gonna move forward.
My computer is.
Yeah, I know, all day here.
I know that she was.
All
working
day.
that.
So I don't have the resolutions because my computer is
We must-
acting strange.
Yeah, we must be having service stuff.
Here, Jody, I have printouts if you want to look at anyone in particular.
I don't wanna look at them, I just am not gonna be able to call them when it's my turn to call
Why
them.
don't you take mine? I have mine already
Oh, okay.
marked on my.
Yours is up? Okay, great.
What? I'm doing something else now, I don't know.
Are we all set?
Yes,
Has a mind
okay.
of its own
You all set?
It really does.
Okay.
Resolution 263.
Amendment fee waiver request of special event application for East End Arts Mosaic Festival, so moved.
Seconded?
Bayrock.
Yes.
Voting, please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 264.
Amendment fee waiver request of special event for North Fork Event Company, North Meets South. So moved.
Vote, please.
Seconded?
Okay, vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 265.
Amendment fee waiver request for special event Chicken Kids Children's Consignment Event.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 266.
Refund request of special event application fee for Tanger Outlet Center's Memorial Day Block Party. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 267.
Refund request of special event application fee for Peconic Bay Medical Center Health Walk, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 268.
Refund request of special event application for the Titan Run 5K obstacle race. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 269.
Refund request of special event application fee for Event Power Riverhead Rocks Triathlon.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 270.
Refund request of special event application fee for Riverhead Rotary Charity Plant Sale. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 271.
Refund request of special event application fee for the Butterfly Effect Project Food Truck Fair, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 272.
Refund of special event application fee for Polish Town Civic Polish Town Street Fair. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes, unfortunately, because I love this fair of all the things that happen in Riverhead, but yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 273.
Supports, endorses, and authorized pursuit of Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Round 18, funding for enhancements to electrical facilities in Grangeville Park.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I'm excited to move forward with this. I remember us all going out, it seems like a year ago, that we went out and looked with Brian DeLuca of things to do out there, and the art in the parks is such a beautiful thing, so I'm very happy to vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 274.
Secret determination regarding application for Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Funds, Round 18 for electrical system enhancements at Grangeville Park. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 275.
Ratifies authorization for an application for a Build 2020 grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 276.
Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Strategic Plan Project number 72002, budget adoption. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 277.
Adopts a strategic parking plan for downtown Riverhead.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
It's been a long haul, and I'm glad we're getting it done. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
I want to thank the Riverhead Parking District and Dawn Thomas for all the work that was put in with this. We finally got to a common ground, and we'll start instituting that coming up, and I think it's going to help us out in the long run. So absolutely yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, this is a plan that got shelved before it even got adopted for a year and a half, so I'm happy to see that it's getting adopted. Yes.
Aguiar.
And I agree with Tim and Jody and everyone who's supporting this effort. The plans are online. I have read them. They're very detailed. It was a great job, and now we can move forward with our parking issues in Riverhead. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 278.
Ratifies authorization for supervisor to execute professional services agreement with Dr. Marty R. Cantor. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 279.
It ratifies authorization for a supervisor to execute a memorandum of understanding with the County of Suffolk regarding food delivery assistance. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 280.
Additional cable cast production services, Nunc Pro Tunc. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 281.
Resolution authorizing non-pro-tunc legal actions against the owners, tenants, occupants, and mortgagee of premises located at 661 Harrison Avenue, Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes, I'm glad
Hubbard.
to move forward with this.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes, when I was visiting the school district often before the pandemic, there were a lot of people that were complaining about this particular house and the overcrowded. So I'm glad that we moved quickly on it and that we are bringing the action against them. So, yes.
Aguiar.
Yes, absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 282.
Resolution authorizing non-pro-tunc legal action against the owners, tenants, occupants, and mortgagee of premises located at 734 Osborne Avenue, Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Once again, I'm glad we're taking a hard line on this. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes, and I can show you all the text messages of all the properties along Harrison Avenue, Osborne Avenue, and other places throughout town where we have received several complaints, and code enforcement has been doing a fantastic job in doing the surveillance and investigation, and I'm glad that we're bringing it to the Supreme Court. Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, finally, after 3 years, we're moving forward with the Supreme Court.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 283.
Authorizes the retention of the law firm of Siegel and Sittler PLLC to appear and defend the town board in the hybrid actions proceeding commenced in the Supreme Court, Suffolk County by Calverton Manor LLC. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
If I
Resolution.
can, before we call this one, because I see that the caller, Catherine, you said that was interested in
Yeah.
speaking on this, that the call must have dropped, maybe we can, if the supervisor doesn't mind, just hear the comments?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judy.
Good afternoon, can you hear me?
Yes, we can,
Go ahead, we
Barbara.
can hear you. Just state your name for the record, please.
And Hamlet.
And your Hamlet.
Thank you so much. I do have a comment on a resolution, and I apologize.
Barbara, let me
I
just interrupt you a
acknowledge that-
second. Barbara, we just need your name and your Hamlet, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Of course. My name is Barbara Blass. I live in Jamesport, and I want to initially apologize for the technical difficulty. Admittedly, it was on my end. I do apologize for that. Good afternoon, members of the board, ladies and
Barbara,
gentlemen.
can you be a little louder? I can't quite hear you.
Is this better?
That's better.
Is that, okay, thank you. I do have a few comments and questions on Resolution 2020-284, which issues a negative declaration on the site plan and special permit applications of 331 East Main Street, a type 1 action under seeker. The action you are contemplating is based on incomplete and inaccurate information and is inconsistent with prior actions taken by this board as lead agency. At the October 16th, 2019 public hearing on the special permanent site plan, individuals expressed concerns about several aspects of the project. But most notably, during that public hearing, attorney for the applicant stated on the record, quote, "We're going to seek some tax abatements in the early years to allow for some financial stability on the project so that we could lease out the units," closed quote. Part 1 of the EAF was completed by VHB on behalf of the applicant. Page 2, Section B specifically asks for applicable government approvals, including funding such as tax relief. Despite council's expressed intent, the IDA is not listed. Consequently, there is no review whatsoever on this, no cost-benefit analysis of the project and its impact on the tax base. Do you know the structure of the tax relief being requested and the duration? Why wasn't this information included for review by this board on behalf of the Riverhead taxpayer? This application and its analysis is incomplete. Part 1, Section C2B states that the Long Island North Shore Heritage Area is the only regional planning district designated for the site, when in fact it is within the Brownfield Opportunity Area and a designated urban renewal area, as well as the environs of the Peconic Estuary. There is no discussion of this application as it relates to these designations, their goals and recommended policies and implementation strategies. The application and its analysis is incomplete. In the interest of time, we'll move on to inaccurate information. Part 1, Section E3D asks if the site is located in or does it adjoin a state-listed CEA. The applicant correctly answered yes. However, Section 12 of Part 2, which is filled out by the town, wherein it requests additional information if the project is within or adjacent to a CEA, no further information was provided here since the town inaccurately answered that it was not adjacent to a CEA. The application contains inaccurate information and the analysis is incomplete. Fortunately, in an amended Part 2 dated 6/10/2020, the town corrected a prior statement and acknowledged that the site may result in development on land subject to flooding, as it is located in both a 100 and a 500-year floodplain. However, in answering the sub-questions, the town states that no impacts or only small impacts may occur. This is curious since the town just recently reached out to the Army Corps of Engineers for assistance on the flooding issue within this very floodplain. What technical information was used by the town to conclude that no or only small impacts would occur from this proposed development within the 100-year floodplain? Impacts on surface water. Because the applicant did not answer section on project operations in part 1 completely, the town, in filling out its corresponding section 3 of part 2, did not disclose that dewatering will occur during construction of the foundation and installation of subgrade utilities. There is no estimate of the quantity of water to be withdrawn, no discussion of measures to maximize retention of sediments, no statement on the discharge point to the Peconic River, and whether this activity will interfere with the utilization of the recreational resource. Whether or not the activity has the potential to negatively impact the Peconic River, information must be provided to demonstrate that the agency has taken the requisite hard look to come to a defensible conclusion. On the matter of segmentation, let's just agree to disagree and move on to cumulative impacts. Cumulative impacts result from the incremental or increased impact of an action when the impacts of that action are added to other past, present, and reasonably foreseeable future actions. Cumulative impacts do not have to be associated with one sponsor or applicant. Cumulative impacts must be assessed when actions are proposed or taken place simultaneously or sequentially in a way that their combined impacts may be significant.
Barbara,
Within a
excuse me,
block and a-
Barbara, I just want to interrupt you 1 second, just to let you know it's been 4 minutes, and we're going to ask you to wrap up within 5 minutes, if you wouldn't mind, please.
You know, I'm
No,
gonna.
just to give you the
okay,
heads up.
I'm
1
just
minute,
gonna-
not
I'm just
5
gonna
minutes.
ask that Barbara be given her time. She has, and I don't mean to be rude to you, Devin.
No, it's okay,
Barbara
we're just
has
trying to limit everybody to 5 minutes, that's all.
Barbara has 27 years of service to the town.
Yep.
She did 19 years, on the planning board. I think 6 of those years she was the chair, and she served on the town board for 8 years, and she doesn't call that often, so I would appreciate it if we would just let her finish up her statement. Thank you.
Just want to make her aware, that's all.
Thank you, Devin.
Go ahead, Barbara.
We'll give you 6 minutes.
Thank
We
you,
need-
sir.
Barbara, if you don't
Thank
mind,
you,
we'll
sir.
give you an extra 2 minutes, but we need to move forward and finish, on the rest of the resolution, so please wrap it up. Thank you.
I
And
think I
I
think Barbara
will-
has something written up the way it sounds, so if she could just finish what she has, I think that would be reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you very much for affording me the extra time. I do want to say that the resolution was only posted yesterday, and I have been preparing these comments, since then. I only have another page and a half to go, if that's okay. I was talking about cumulative impacts. Within a block and a half, we have 3 secret type 1 actions. They are 3 separate apartment complexes totaling 323 units. One is being considered for a neg deck today. One is under construction and it was the subject of a voluntary EIS, and one which was pos-decked and is preparing an EIS. The latter applicant was directed to prepare a cumulative impact analysis resulting from these and other similar projects identified by planning. The projects each impact the parking district, recreational facilities and activities, their visual impacts, traffic, impacts on streets and intersections within the downtown parking district. Utilizing SECRET in this way provides for a more cohesive review of similar projects in an area and results in strategic mitigation and better planning decisions. The 331 East Main Street project is being removed from this mix, and its review is occurring in a vacuum and isolated from the other redevelopment activities. It is expressed, determination of significance must include consideration of potential for primary, long-term, and short-term cumulative impacts. I'll skip the next paragraph and say this. If nothing else, I urge you to table the resolution 2020-284 to correct your record and complete the supporting documentation of this application. If certain impacts such as parking and the visual impacts were not considered relevant and significant by the town board, you wouldn't have commissioned a parking study and the pattern book. And a final comment on the public hearing. I expressed my dismay back in October that the town provided no documents for the public to review and prepare questions I respectfully requested that the documentation be available online routinely going forward. Councilwoman Wooten agreed, as did Councilwoman Giglio. Supervisor Aguirre, you were in the audience, perhaps you remember. I don't know who's responsible for taking care of those things, but not surprisingly, the information never did get posted. So I did have to foil on May 29th the site plan and related documents. It would appear also to the casual observer that the planning board is responsible for the review and the approval of this project, as the applicant was given a planning board site plan application to complete. For the record, the planning board has no involvement with this application. And one final note, the original parts 2 and parts 3 dated June 1st were amended on June 10th. If the town intends to use the amended documents to support its determination, the resolution needs to be corrected as it refers to the EAF dated June 1st, 2020. Thank you very, very much for your consideration and the indulging me in that extra time.
Okay, Barbara.
I appreciate that.
Next time it'll be 5 minutes, okay?
Thank you.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
So we are, gonna take a vote on this?
you know what, I'm going to call to table. I call to table this resolution so that we can, as, Mrs. Blass said, to correct the inaccuracies.
I'd like to open it up for discussion and have planning staff get up and explain to us about the amendment on June 10th of 2020 that may not have been available to the public to review.
Sorry, Diane, false alarm. It's coming.
You're getting your workout.
Yeah.
And then some of the other things that were brought up, but about incomplete and inaccurate information from the original application of October 16th, 2019, and the information about the IDA tax abatements, the additional information about the adjoining CEA, the amendment part 2, that the site is on land that's subject to flooding. And the dewatering as to the point of entry into the Peconic River, and the quantity of gallons that would be equated with the dewatering. And I know we addressed last Thursday the cumulative incremental or increase in action, and the claim that it does not have to be one applicant, it can be several applicants within, and as was explained, within 1.5 blocks and 324 units, and the traffic impacts on that corner. And the fact that there was no information for the public to view until May 29th of 2020. The other agencies that were mentioned that should have been part of the SECRA, which is the Long Island North Shore Heritage, the BOA study, the Urban Renewal, Peconic Estuary.
All right. So where do I start? Let's see. Speaking to the amendments, as Ms. Blass did point out, I did correct some inaccuracies that I noticed from the June 1st to the June 10th revisions to the full EAF. In terms of the DEC dewatering, that is something that is...
But what were the amendments?
I don't have the...
And how are they applicable to review of SECRA?
Well, so in my review of the project, in planning staff's review, this has been reviewed by the town board at several meetings. Jeff Murphy has looked at this and reviewed it. A lot of these things, have not risen to any thresholds when we're reviewing this project that we would recommend a positive declaration to require an EIS.
But Greg, aren't those thresholds, aren't they in reference to whether it's a type 1, type 2, or unlisted? Aren't those the thresholds? Are you referring to the thresholds that were done in the GEIS in 2003?
No, I'm actually referring to thresholds that are established by the DEC. They prepared what's called a full environmental assessment workbook. The DEC has prepared this document understanding that SECRA is a program that's administered throughout the state. There are some towns and municipalities who don't have planning departments, who don't have certified environmental professionals. So the full EAF workbook is a guidebook to aid people in reviewing it who may not be thoroughly reviewed. So when we talk about the impacts, there was nothing in the review of the project that would have triggered those thresholds. And as I've said, for example, the traffic impacts. The full EAF workbook demonstrates that the construction of a multifamily residential building, the threshold which would be considered a threshold for a significant increase in traffic is 100 units. This project is 36 units, which is about 64% below a threshold which would trigger the requirement for the preparation of a TIS.
And that's a place where, for me, that's a place where the combined impacts make a difference, because when you put all of these three projects together, and someone else did tell me, I reached out to different people. Of course, Barbara is a wealth of knowledge. I also reached out and asked some questions of Jeffrey Seaman, who advises us. And I was told that there was another study done where that particular intersection received an F.
That was actually a different intersection. That was the intersection of McDermott and State
Right.
Route
Well,
25. So it was not the same intersection that you're referring to. There was.
But that is an intersection that
Correct,
impedes
yes.
this project, makes a difference, impacts this project.
Well, so the applicant at the last work session that we discussed this at, they did reference a traffic impact report. There was some inconsistencies. Apparently this report was given to the previous supervisor, had not been viewed by staff. Now, again, it's worth noting that in the review, was referred to the SECRA, to the state DOT, who owns jurisdiction over State Route 25. So it was handled through the SECRA process as well as site plan referral.
Well,
The New York State.
Sorry, Gret, you seem familiar with the one I'm talking about. I think it was done by Nelson Pope and Voorhees.
That was the BOA study.
Right, but there was a traffic study. I know they did the BOA study, but I believe they did a traffic study.
I believe the traffic study, and I mean, there's, I've heard murmurs of it. I believe it was for the 203, 213 East Main Street project, and it analyzed the impacts to the McDermott. That is not the intersection where this project is located. So again, I was.
It's in that vicinity.
All right,
Okay,
so
sorry.
I was mid-statement. So again, this was referred to the state DOT, who holds jurisdiction over the state right-of-way. In our review of the project, we made the assessment of the project that it was 64% below a threshold that would have triggered the requirement of a TIS. So that in and of itself, we would not require that. It was referred to the state DOT. They did not require the preparation of a TIS. As I was saying at the last meeting, the applicant did prepare a traffic impact statement, which was distributed to the supervisor. I don't know why that was not given to the planning department. This was done back at the October town board meeting. Just to share some of the findings of that traffic impact statement, they found that it was actually going to be a net reduction in trip generation as a result of the construction of this project. That site is presently improved with a Subway restaurant. There are a couple of barbershops as well as several apartments, I believe 3. So the traffic impact statement actually showed that construction of this project would result in a net reduction in traffic. So basically there was no threshold that we asked for a preparation of a TIS. The applicant voluntarily prepared one. It was submitted to us, and it demonstrated that there's going to be a net reduction in traffic.
When did you get that from the supervisor?
I did not. The applicant actually forwarded it to me on June 11th. I had not seen it before. I don't know why it did not make it to the planning
June
department.
11th of this year?
The applicant referred to it.
He referred to it in the meeting, and I said, I asked to receive a copy of that because I had not been privy to it. So I don't know where there was some breakdown in communication from when it was handed to the supervisor to now, but I have received that report. I received on June 11th. I believe.
And that was back in October 2019?
I believe the report is dated October 10th of 2019, and I believe it was given to the supervisor on or about that.
Former supervisor,
Correct, I apologize, former supervisor.
I mean, it does seem to me like these two traffic studies should it is still in the same area where the failing intersection is. Just feel like that should all be looked at together.
But the New York State DOT determined that there was reduction actually in traffic, and so therefore did not request any further traffic study
I mean,
review.
Yeah, what else would you mitigate it when it's showing a reduction in traffic? You know,
And they're the
that would be a-
experts.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
you
the
know,
experts, and you see these traffic studies, you don't always have to agree with them, but they're pretty well-rounded, and, I've never actually seen quite often a negative study along that nature that you're saying. That's rare.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's a good thing for us.
You know, to some of the other specific areas, you know, Long Island North Shore Heritage, BOA study, Peconic Estuary. It's one thing to bring up bring up these certain facts, you know, it's located in this area. The downtown Riverhead has a very eclectic streetscape. There's a number of different, you know, sizes of buildings, different building massings. You know, I would ask the board if they find that there's any significant negative impacts. Because when we're assessing a project, we say, are there going to be impacts? Yes or no? Are they going to be small or are they going to be large? As planning staff, we've reviewed this application. We've prepared this to the best of our ability. If the board disagrees, if they find that there's any significant negative environmental impacts to a 4-story residential apartment building in the downtown, which is zoned for it, again, as I said at the other meeting, you know, that this site is presently improved with 2 buildings. It does not cut off any views of the river. You know, if you're standing on East Main Street and you're looking south, you can't see the river from this site. So it's not like it's going to impact any critical view sheds to that respect. You know, I would put it to the board, because a lot of this has been put on planning staff, and frankly, we've done what we believe to be a thorough job. We've answered the questions to the best of our ability. As the town board, being the agency that's vested to make these decisions, I would ask if there's any significant negative environmental impacts, because that's what I'd say.
I appreciate you saying that, Greg, because certainly, you know, this is an important decision for us, and I fully feel the weight of the decision. As far as visual impacts, I mean, and let me just say, I'm not against the project. My whole thing is that I want the project studied carefully, and I want all 3 projects looked at. I want the projects in the area looked at together. And one of my concerns is always the canyon effect, you know, when you're putting a lot of tall buildings there. And just to go back one more time to make a point on that traffic study, the one that was done for this project, I mean, that was a traffic study that was done in isolation. So those are a couple of concerns for me. And I don't know, I would like to see us table this, and I know you guys might have more to say, but it does seem like a lot of things that we need to work out, and a lot of inaccuracies, not on your part, but things we need to fix.
What about the tax abatements in part 1? Right.
I mean, I will acknowledge there are some things that could be amended just to reflect correct information. Again, I'm not sure that would significantly impact the town board's decision on this project.
As far as environmental?
As far as environmental, I mean, these are economics. The applicant is going to make an application to the IDA. They're going to need to provide all these economics impact statements, which they have provided to us. I believe it's actually referenced in the resolution. I think they did a study in terms of the impacts to the school district. I believe it was somewhere in the vicinity of 3 to 4 school-age children that would be expected to be produced from this type of construction. So I mean, some of these questions, I'm just not sure that they warrant that hard look under SECRA. We're talking about significant and negative environmental impacts versus economic impacts.
But economic impacts are included in a SECRA study. And the IDA is an involved agency, so they would be included in the SECRA review.
I mean, I would, again, I would ask the town board if they agree with this. I mean, I'm not sure what these steps would be to go through and then refer it again. I'm not sure what level of involvement you'd be looking for from the IDA.
Okay, we need to move forward.
Can I be heard, since this is all new discussion and I represent the applicant? If I
Yes,
could-
go ahead, Mr. Kemp.
Very briefly, a lot of this I don't think reaches levels of significance that would require anything further than an egg deck. But I will address a couple of issues that have been raised that I think we need to respond to. As far as dewatering, we are seeking a permit from the DEC on the dewatering. We're actually making improvements to the area because we're going to be retaining all stormwater on site from the development of the project. We will be installing new drains, drain basins below, subsurface drain basins that will capture all stormwater and retain it on site. So it's actually going to be an improvement from current conditions. Current conditions is that area is pretty much the water flows just right down to the river. So we're going to retain the water on site. As far as the IDA and the impact on taxes, the property currently pays about $17,900 a year in real property taxes. We are going to go before the IDA. We will be requesting some abatement on the value of the improvements, but we will make a commitment that the taxes will never be less than what they are now, and there'll probably be something significantly greater than that. The number of children that'll be contributed to the school district, we're projecting 0. The study of these types of units throughout Suffolk County comes up with a number of 2.54 children, which we would, bring it up to 3. It's estimating approximately 3 children could be generated from this site. We're projecting that there will be no children, but even if there are 3, I don't think that's a significant increase in the number of children contributed to the school district. So I don't see that as something that reaches a level of significance that would require an EIS or even require anything other than a neg deck. So as far as traffic study, currently there are retail uses on site. By getting rid of the retail uses on site and putting in multifamily, you're actually decreasing the number of trip flows. The projection is total trip generation could be as much as a -40 trips per day on a Saturday. In a weekday, you're looking at 18 to 44 reduced trip generations in a weekday. So this is a negative. It's a positive impact, but it's a decrease in the number of traffic trips generated to and from the site in any day. So a lot of things were discussed. It all depends upon whether you reach a level of significance that requires it to be studied further than it has already been studied. So I believe that with everything that's been provided to the town, that there's nothing that reaches the level of significance that would require further study. I believe the deliberative hard look that's required by SECRA has been completed, and that the project is entitled to a neg deck. And of course, that's at your discretion. So we'd ask that you do that. I don't think you're being arbitrary and capricious. I think there's been a deliberative hard look at this project and what it's proposing, and that there are no significant environmental impacts that would necessitate a further review of the project.
And Mr. Kent, if I could just ask you, you're talking about the retail uses, are you talking about the subway? The subway would not be in use anymore?
Subway, and there was a barber shop and a hair salon in the back building. Those uses, they're no longer there now, but when they were there, they've discontinued that use in anticipation of these buildings being demolished. So that's why there's nothing there now. But when these buildings were occupied, they generated a lot more trips because they were retail uses, which were permitted.
Well, yeah, and I'm asking because those are closed. And as far as the...
Well, they're closed. They're closed because of in anticipation of the construction of the project. Okay. So you can't compare, they're closed. They are retail spaces that are vacated because the project is moving forward. So you're not going to compare traffic of vacant retail to residential. You're going to compare traffic from occupied retail with residential. We could also say if the residential was vacant, it would produce 0.
And actually,
but we're hoping it's not vacant. We're hoping it's occupied.
Yeah, and actually for me, when I talked about traffic, my concerns were more with people trying to get to a town-wide riverfront park, and of course you have Turkhouse Grill back there. And as far as the economics,
they would be walking. The people from this site would be walking to the Turkish Grill's gonna do great when this opens. You're gonna have 36 units across the street that are now gonna generate people walking across the street to get food. That's not gonna produce any traffic. So I'm not sure what you mean by that.
And as far as the economic, I mean, I didn't bring up the school impact. I mean, I can't predict the future, but I think along with those studies, I wasn't concerned in that area. These are market rate, and I believe you stated that they're smaller, so the school impact wasn't something, but I do think the combined impact of tax abatements in the area matter to us. That's all I had.
Again, I don't think that's something that's significant environmentally that would cause a further environmental review. We will be before the IDA at one of their meetings. They haven't had any meetings or hearings in the last few months. We're looking to be on their schedule on July 13th. We're seeking some abatement for the value of the improvements. There will be a floor that will be established that will never go below, so you'll never collect less taxes than are being collected there now. And I'm not sure how many school-age children were living there in the apartments that existed on the premises. So I haven't gone back and see if there were any school-age children that were generated from the 3 apartments that were on site.
And Greg, I still can't find something about the rec fees, the park and rec fees.
Well, so the park and rec fees, there's a component within the site plan review section of the town code that requires, I don't know verbatim, but the gist of it is that for each residential unit that's created, if the applicant fails to provide recreational facilities on site, there's a $3,000 per unit fee. I mean, that's really just a straight function of site plan, so I'm not sure that it's really relevant to capture here when it's just a matter of abiding by the town code.
Well, yeah, and obviously I'm concerned because the residential buildings downtown did not pay into the park and rec fees, which, should be a community benefit for us. I believe only the Sears project, the Munchnick project, I think there's something for them of paying into those, but, I would like to see all these projects paying into the park and rec fees.
I agree, and I can't speak to why they were not captured on the previous projects, but it is on the radar. Obviously, if the board agrees with it, that will be made a condition of site plan approval. But I don't see that that's really tied into a secret negative declaration. That's just a matter of following our code.
I think it's part of the overall, looking at the overall project.
Greg, in my little head, I'm thinking, quite honestly, the 2003 master plan talked about this type of thing, these type of buildings, what we were looking to do downtown, what they wanted done. Did anything in that comprehensive plan indicate that this should have been POS-DEC?
Not to my knowledge. I think I'll defer to Jeff about that.
Okay. You're saying no, Mr. Murphy, nothing here nothing here in this application indicates that it should have been POS-DEC as per the 2003 plan, correct?
2004, the DC-1 code that we see today was adopted, and it was based upon the finding statement adopted as part of the comprehensive plan in November of 2003. So the town board back in 2003, when it adopted the comprehensive plan and the subsequent code amendment for the DC-1, envisioned all the development that you're seeing, including the project that you see before you.
And that was based on a 5-story building.
That was based on 5-story buildings.
And Jeff, you're
Thank you.
referring, and you guys are referring to the GEIS that was done.
You're
when
following the code.
Right.
You're referring to the GEIS that was done when we were when they were changing the code in 2003. Changing the zoning.
That was done in 2004.
The zoning was adopted in 2004. The comprehensive plan was prepared in 2003. The zoning was adopted in 2004.
Right.
That is correct.
But this was a generic EIS.
That is correct for the townwide comprehensive plan. That is correct. And this project, the DC-1, that was subsequently adopted as the implementation of the recommendations of the comprehensive plan, envisioned a project of this magnitude and size. And this is actually smaller than what the code allows.
And Greg, you're saying that if we tabled it, there would be some things that you would be able to, some of the inaccuracies that you would be able to fix in there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had trouble keeping up. There was a lot of stuff coming out real quick, but the board's amenable, I mean, if they wish to table it, I could correct some of those inaccuracies. Again, I don't think any of the accuracies will change the recommendation or, the scope of the project as to what's been reviewed.
So as far as the Peconic Estuary Program, because it is situated right next to the estuary in a normal SECR review, you would not refer to that agency?
They are not involved agency.
Okay, so what we have here, we have, one.
Can I just say one thing about the GEIS that was established, or the findings that were adopted as part of the GEIS that was adopted in November of 2003? I just want to read one sentence. Okay, when a final generic EIS has been filed under this part, no further SECR compliance is required if a subsequent proposed action will be carried out in conformance with the conditions and thresholds established for such actions in the generic EIS or its finding statement. So just to let you know, this proposal does not exceed any of the conditions or thresholds that were adopted by that finding statement and that GEIS in 2003.
Okay, so let's move forward. We have one council member stating that she wants to table. Is there a second on
I
this?
gotta read the resolution first,
Oh,
it hasn't been read.
Can we read the resolution?
Assumes lead agency status and issues negative declaration pursuant to SECR for the special permit and site plan applications of 331 East Main Street, LLC, 331 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-129-4-15. So moved.
And I called the table, do I have to second it first? Second?
Well, no.
Now,
no, no.
Catherine, if you're gonna
You
call
can't.
the table it, you need to call the
That's
table.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm asking her.
But the resolution had to be
Right.
read first
Right.
before you
Right,
can table.
and then somebody's gotta second
I'll
it, then
second
we
it.
vote.
So
Okay.
And I
someone
called to,
making a motion
I
to
called to
table?
table, I did.
You're making a motion to table?
Yes, I make a motion to table.
Okay, and who's seconding? Frank, were you?
No, I seconded the motion.
Right, he seconded the motion on the resolution.
Resolution.
I would
Catherine's up with the resolution now to table it, so
Right.
somebody has to second that.
No one seconding? Okay, take a vote.
First, the resolution has to be
Okay,
seconded.
so this is not a vote to table?
Don't we have to take, oh, we don't
It
even have
never
a
made it
second, so
because
we
there
don't have
was
to
no-
vote. Okay,
It had to be seconded to become
Right.
alive.
okay, I
thought Frank
understand.
seconded it.
No, not to table it.
Oh, yeah, right, good. Perfect.
Okay. They're up.
So, before I vote, I just want to thank the planning staff for their thorough account and defense of the application. I know in the short time that I've been involved in this town, I've heard this application defended at least 2 to 3 times, very capably and aptly by the planning department. I vote yes.
Kent?
And I have something to say. I spoke at the work session on June 11th about why I don't believe it's in the best interest of Riverhead to do a neg deck on this project that's planned for 331 East Main. I listed my areas of concern at that time. As I've said before, I am not against the project and I do see some of its merits. But I believe strongly that we should look at its impacts and have a plan to mitigate those impacts. In the big picture of our downtown, I feel strongly that the impact of these projects should be looked at cumulatively. The Sears property was given a pause deck in 2018. They were told to study the combined impacts of this project, the Gallo project, and their own. And I believe that that study is nearly done. At the work session last week, there was also a personal jab directed towards me that I was too emotional in regards to this project and that it was personal to me. Well, I spent several weeks methodically reading over previous studies, documents relating to this project. I spoke to our planners, environmental planners, people who understand the SECR process, and people who know our town. That's not being emotional, that's called doing my job. Isn't it the job of elected officials to ask questions on behalf of the residents? This is about being a strong voice and a representative of the people. What I do admit is that I'm passionate about Riverhead and its future. Our town has amazing resources and wonderful people. It's our job as legislators to advocate for Riverhead. As a lifelong resident of Riverhead, I have wonderful memories of the downtown. Sitting at Papa Nick's with my dad, having a vanilla ice cream soda. Marching as a Girl Scout in the parades. Standing on the sidewalk of Main Street as a cheerleader, welcoming home a hero who was a POW. So, I am passionate about what happens in our downtown. Yes, you bet I am. And it's my hope that someday, and this is a personal plea to my own children, that I will visit downtown Riverhead with grandchildren and be proud of how it looks and how it was planned out. I vote no.
Hubbard.
Well, you can still go to Papa Nick's and have an ice cream soda. You can still stand on Main Street and watch a parade. But the difference is gonna be that you're gonna have a vibrant downtown. And you're gonna have a vibrant downtown because you have a 36 unit complex coming in at market rate. Market rate means that there's gonna be people that pay their rent, pay their bills, and actually have money left over in their wallet to go downtown and spend it, to stop in and have a glass of wine or have some dinner. That's what we need downtown. We don't need any more low-income housing. We need people with money in their pockets to help revitalize downtown. When I first met the developer on this, they came to a planning work session, and they brought in a lot of different photos of different buildings that they've done, and I was immediately impressed by the work that they did. They've done a lot of work up in the Huntington area. It really caught my eye, and the drawings and the sketches that I've seen on this project so far, I like what I see, and I like that it's not a big box. I like that it's set back on the top. It just fits the area better, and like I say, it's gonna bring money to a much needed area downtown. And I also don't want to, I feel sometimes SECRA is used as a tool to either deny or approve a project. And that's not what SECRA is about in my mind. No. SECRA has a meaning, and all those meanings add up to, is it a type 1 or a type 2? Is it unlisted? Is it gonna be neg decked or is it gonna be pos decked? And I am confident in saying that our planning department did their job, did their due diligence, and they've explained this to me in great detail, because that little brain up there needs a little extra understanding sometimes. And I'm very comfortable with what they came up with, and I absolutely vote yes for this project.
You know, Tim, I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm not against the project. I'm not trying to stop the project. I just reiterate, I believe we should carefully study the impacts, make sure we're addressing everything, and look at all of this together. But there are things about the project that I like. I think that you need to bring residential into a downtown area, and so much of what you said I'm in agreement with. I'm not trying to be the person blocking it. I'm trying to say, let's make sure we take a really hard look and that we get this all done right.
Giglio.
So, the SECRA process is to analyze environmental impacts that could possibly occur, and there are thresholds, and as has been explained, you know, SECRA is not to be used as a sword. It's either a negative declaration under SECRA or a positive declaration under SECRA. And I believe a thorough review has happened also. It doesn't meet the thresholds of 100 units in order to deem it a type 1. We've discussed this several times at work session with the applicant and with planning staff and gone back and forth with questions and concerns, and we all seem to be satisfied last year, and then this year when it comes up for a negative declaration, there is you know, more concerns. So the fact that the traffic is reduced and there's not going to be an increased number of traffic, and that they are providing their own parking on site. Cumulative impact was explained to us in work session on Thursday, and then also last year, that it's different owners, different properties. You don't know whether or not any of those other properties are ever going to get built. The one is underway. They did a voluntary environmental impact statement, but you don't know if the Sears site is ever going to get built or developed. So to study the two of them together, you don't know what is going to happen with that property or whether or not it's ever going to get built. And we have not issued a negative declaration under that, and we have not approved the secret findings. As far as the, being passionate about downtown, I'm a stakeholder and a property owner in downtown, and I'm very passionate about downtown also, and its revitalization. And I think that this is a great project to bring to downtown. I think that it's come a long way. I think that dropping it down from 5 stories to 4 stories, and the number of reviews that it went through with the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the applicant agreeing to make all the changes that not only the town board and the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the Architectural Review Board has recommended, and they've done all of that happily. And I feel like the environmental study has been done. I feel like we are beating the secret determination to death. This is not approving the project. This is approving the environmental conditions and saying that there will not be a negative impact for 38 units being built downtown. And for those reasons, I'm voting yes.
Aguirre. I agree with most of my council peers. This project should have been voted on last year, and we have it here. It's only 36 units. I reviewed the paperwork in detail with the planning department. I've listened to Councilwoman Kent's concerns. I find that a thorough review was completed, and I am voting yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 285.
Do you want it?
Thank you. Authorizes town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend chapter 105 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Boards, Commissions, and Councils. So
Second.
moved.
Sorry.
Oh, please, that was quick.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 286.
Appoint seasonal beach attendants and lifeguards to recreational department. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 287.
Approves leave of absence request. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 288.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for propane fuel bid. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 289.
Awards bid, installation of water mains and appurtenances, the vistas of Baiting Hollow, Fox Hill Drive, Baiting Hollow, Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Second.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 290.
Adopts investment policy. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 291.
Awards RFP for audit services of the Community Preservation Fund for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 292.
Publication and posting of notice to amend CDBG 2019 budget in response to CARES Act funding. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 293.
Pays the bills. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Great.
Did you?
All right.
Town Board, I apologize for the interruption.
Yes. Okay.
Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
We did have a request for a walk-on resolution today. I circulated to all of you earlier from Riverhead Raceway. Did you all get a copy of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the request was, under the town code, they are allowed to have 28 days of events extending up through the end of September. Because they've been closed down due to the COVID-19 virus, they're asking that the racing season be extended through the end of November. So I circulated a resolution to you as a walk-on today. I know that requires, I believe, 5 members of the vote for the walk-on. If I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about it. There is a time of essence according to the applicant because they are a sanctioned NASCAR race course. They are a sanctioned NASCAR event. NASCAR is apparently breathing down their throat so that they can get all of their logistics involved with setting up these events. The way the resolution reads now, they're requesting 26 dates through the end of November 15th, 2020, and then with rain dates if any of those events are canceled. So I put the end of the date through the November 30th, and this of course would be subject to the governor of New York allowing the racing season to actually begin. So I prepared a resolution for your consideration. I'm not advocating one way or another for it, but given that we are trying to help out businesses that have been closed down during the COVID-19 period, I prepared a resolution this morning for your consideration in today's meeting.
Okay. I'll call it. This would be resolution number 294. Okay. Resolution 294, resolution authorizing 26 events and the extension, to take it off the floor. Resolution
Right,
294, resolution authorizing 26 events and the extension of the days of operation for motor vehicle raceways set forth in chapter 259 of Town Code of the Town of Riverhead till November 30th, 2020. I make a motion, we take it off the floor.
Second?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 294 is taken off the floor. Now we'll
Make-
call resolution 294 for the vote.
I make a motion that we move resolution number 294, authorizing 26 events and the extension of the days of operation for motor vehicle raceways set forth in chapter 259 of Town Code of the Town of Riverhead until November 30th, 2020, due to the COVID-19. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 294 is adopted.
Great.
I can hear them. Can you hear them? Yes. I cannot.
Okay.
I don't even hear it
I
anymore.
hear it on Saturday night.
Moving forward, can I have, let's hear any comments from the public on general, non-resolution related, questions?
Whatever they want, but we know to keep.
Okay, we'll open it up to public comments. We'll ask everybody to state their name and their hamlet, and we're gonna limit everybody, please, to 5 minutes. So, we're gonna go in order that everybody entered the meeting room. Mike Foley, looks like you wanna make a comment, go ahead.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, good afternoon. Mike Foley from Reeves Park, representing Sound Park Heights, that represents our 262 home community in Reeves Park. I'd like to talk about parking enforcement on the beach and in the town parking lots, all 4 Riverhead town parking lots. Is Chief Hagermiller
Yes.
on the call?
Yes, he's here.
Chief is with us, yes.
Good afternoon, Chief. I'd just like to ask a few questions of you and then throw it back to the board. I understand the traffic enforcement is under your jurisdiction. I just wanted to know, how many full-time employees do we have? How many seasonal employees do we have? And how many enforcement cars do we have? Over?
Over. 10-4.
Come on up.
Roger that.
Yes.
You like stats, don't you?
You're a numbers guy.
Right,
Come
isn't
on.
he? You know, I noticed that from him.
Yeah, back in the day, maybe. Mike, let's see, we have 88 officers, we're down 5, so that brings us to 83 full-time officers. We then have part-time staff, we have about 5 part-timers at this time. They're allowed to work unrestricted from May 15th to September 15th. So there's no hours regulating them. What else was in there?
How
Vehicles?
many cars, Chief, over?
How many cars?
How many enforcement cars? Yes, traffic enforcement.
TCOs and TCSs, there's probably about 8 of them also. And they're the same as part-timers, unlimited through May 15th through September 15th.
Thank you. I asked the questions up front because I wanted to discuss what seems to be our present policy in the town of Riverhead, which is on weekends, there is a traffic enforcement car with an attendant in that car at the entrance to our 3 beaches. I know Rolling Hills does not have that, but we have it along with Iron Pier and Wading River. And clearly, it reduces the amount of non-permitted out-of-town traffic. And they're very nice when they're there on the weekends. They advise people that are not permitted that they're not allowed to park there, and those people disappointingly drive away. The problem remains, Chief, that all the rest of the time, the other 5 days of the week, before 10 a.m., 7 days a week, and after 6 p.m., 7 days a week, there is no traffic presence in these lots. Because I'm a 2-minute walk from my lot, of the last 7 days I've gone down there, between 7 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., a minimum of 5 non-permitted cars were in the lot, up to 9 actually on Monday of this week. There were 9 non-permitted cars parking there. And as we discussed, Chief, I guess maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, it's my understanding from you that the parking tickets of $100 and the parking on the beach non-permitted of $500 is all revenue derived for the town of Riverhead. And what I was asking last week or the last meeting when you were busy with an awful lot of stuff, and it looks to me, Chief, like you're going to be a lot busier over the next year. It seems that Governor Cuomo has got a lot of work assignments for every police department and town board, and I'm sure you guys will be hip deep in all that. But for this instant issue, it would seem to me a much better use of resources with much more revenue derived if we could institute a traffic enforcement patrol once in the morning and once in the afternoon in all 4 of our parking lots, issuing parking tickets to all non-permitted people. And furthermore, I understand you have a fancy new beach buggy that the Riverhead Police Department has. There has been a relentless stream of non-permitted 4x4s coming down our beach entrance in Reeves Park. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of activity, police activity, in our parking lot, and I was down there. Somebody gave me a call because they know I'm on the association, and went down to observe what was going on. And a 4x4 came off of the beach at about 10:15 on Saturday morning. And he was stopped at the top of the ramp and asked to pull over. And I assumed the officer that was doing that was going to go over and issue him a ticket. He took his license and registration. They spoke for a couple of minutes, and he returned it and walked away. And I walked up to the officer and said, "Why aren't you writing him a ticket?" And he said, "Well, he came off the beach a little late." I said, "He doesn't have a permit. He's not allowed down there at all." And the officer looked at me and said, "Officer discretion." And I've had enough experience in law enforcement in the 5 boroughs, Westchester and Hamptons, to know when an officer says officer discretion, you walk away, and that's what I did. But it prompted me immediately to say, we need to have a zero tolerance trial for our beaches, where you, Chief, would instruct or send memos out to the police force and to the traffic enforcement agencies that during this summer season, that any car that has no permit should be ticketed. And anybody found on the beach without a permit should be ticketed. And if we do that, I think it will greatly reduce the amount of transient traffic that we have now. I have to tell you, Chief, there are an awful lot of people on our beach that are out of town. They don't pick up after themselves. I don't know where they go to the bathroom when they're down there 12 hours. Well, I do know, but everybody can assume that's where they're going. And we've never had a bacterial issue on the quality of our beaches in Reeves Park for 20 years. I'm afraid because of this rampant use of our beaches as toilets, that could change this year. And it greatly concerns me, and I believe it concerns everybody in my community and should concern everybody in the town. So I would ask you, do you have any and listen, I believe in officer discretion. I believe an overwhelming majority of the time, officer discretion is used properly. But in this case, when we are short of staff, when we do have density issues in our town beaches, when we do have elderly people, I don't like to think of myself as elderly, but I'm 67, I'm overweight, and I got COPD. I'm a triple threat for this virus. And thanks to the Riverhead Safe program, they have kept me away from stores since March the 15th. I'm thankful for that. But I look at what's happening on our beach in Reeves Park and assume the same thing is going on with the rest of them. And I just wanted to know if you would consider instituting a zero tolerance policy strictly to enforce the parking and the beach driving on our beaches. Over.
Yes, Mike, we do have a zero tolerance policy. Maybe the word isn't out to everybody, but I'll make sure it is.
I'm sorry, Chief, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we do have a zero tolerance policy in effect. Maybe it's not out to everybody, so I'll make sure it gets to everybody.
Well, that's great news, Chief. I did not know that. And listen, I believe the police officers have the toughest job on the planet right now. It's getting harder by the day. What happened in Atlanta on Friday is only going to exacerbate the situation. And I don't want to take up any police time on this. Hopefully your traffic enforcement people can handle the lots. And if you can get that 4x4 down on the beach 4 or 5 times a week, it'll pay for itself in about 2 weeks. I thank you very much for your zero tolerance position, and I'll get it out to my members so that they know it. And I trust you can get it to traffic enforcement and your police staff so that they know, and nobody has to be talked. Nobody has to say, listen, the guy's still using discretion when he shouldn't be. And let me end it with this. The Riverhead Safe program, Yvette, has been, I believe, potentially a lifesaver for the people in the town of Riverhead. And I'm not sure how many of us old people have taken you up on this offer.
350. 350. 350.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I'm saddened that the original Donna, who is your assistant, has been reassigned to more diverse stuff, but you have a replacement, Donna, that I have dealt with once or twice this week. She seems very nice. Your two delivery women, Kelly and Beth, have been just top shelf from start to finish. I was told sadly today that Kelly is retiring shortly, and she's moving out of town, and that Beth apparently has an employee role either with police, recreation, or both. Again, a top shelf employee of the town of Riverhead. I look forward to meeting their replacements, and I thank you for keeping this going. She told me that it's going to keep going for the foreseeable future, and as long as this virus has a presence, we've been in isolation. Look, I'm thinking I'm going to be in isolation until there is either a real good treatment or a vaccine. So we're going to miss our kids and grandkids probably for the next 18 months. The Riverhead Safe program makes us that much safer, and I want to thank you for that. And Chief, thank you very much for your position on the zero tolerance.
And Mike, thank you for the kind words. I will relate them to Donna. As we start opening town, that was run from my office through her. She took the charge, and now we passed on the baton to the senior center. They welcomed it. You're still going to get the same amount of service, and again, thank you for your words.
Well, I thank you very much, and thanks again, Chief. I'm out.
Yeah, no, Mike, hold on 1 second. Don't wait for the town board meeting. You can call me anytime. You know where to find me.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Okay, moving on. Anybody else to comment? Ms. McClinchy, go ahead. State your name and Hamlet, please.
Hi, it's Kelly McClinchy from Manorville. I do just want to address the town board and say on behalf of the Manorville residents thank you very much for the bottled water delivery during the COVID period. My neighbors truly appreciate what the town has done, and a special thanks to Jody for organizing all of it. We really appreciate it. That being said, can you please tell me the status of the water feasibility study for Manorville?
Yes, the purchase order went out and the mapping plan is underway.
Okay, do you have any idea when we will hear anything?
Well, the H2M is working on it. I can tell you that based on my emails to Suffolk County, as per our discussions with the county coming out and taking the samples and then giving it to Suffolk County Water Authority to expedite the test results, I did receive a letter from Ms. Capabianco after a few inquiries to this county on mid-May and then the end of May, and I did get a response back from her saying that due to in accordance with the governor's executive orders related to COVID-19, the department has temporarily suspended many field activities, including private well sampling. In the meantime, the department is working to finalize an agreement that will facilitate lab analysis of per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, in private wells in the survey area. The department expects that the sampling activity should be initiated this summer, contingent on guidance received from the New York State Department of Health related to COVID-19. So they say they're gonna come out and sample this summer, and as I stated, H2M has received the purchase order and is underway on the mapping plan.
Okay, thank you, and thank you again for all of your efforts on our behalf.
Great
We
job,
appreciate it.
Jody.
My pleasure.
Okay, next.
Okay, anybody else to comment? Mr. McAuliffe?
First, I have to apologize. I didn't identify myself earlier. It's John McAuliffe. I'm from what's both called Rolling Woods and Roanoke Landing section of Riverhead. And related to that and the earlier comment, we did have, at least on Sunday afternoon, patrol car checking permits in the parking lot. I would say there is potentially a similar problem. Lots of 4x4s drive down and head east, some for fishing, some for other purposes, and I don't know whether that there's any effort to actually check whether they've paid the more expensive beach permit. The question I asked at the beginning, you were very helpful on the not waiving the right to terminate the contract. But the other part of the question was in terms of the status of the two letters that we received from Mr. Kent and directly from Mr. Jermasian, whether those have been responded to, or what you were saying is that response will wait until after the DEC answer is in. Related to that is if there's any update either on financials being provided by the Jermasians and Daniel Preston, or the evaluation of their financial situation. So a final question, and those obviously related to EPCAL. A final question was also referenced earlier, which is the requirements from the governor about each jurisdiction reviewing its police process and practices, whether you've had any time to think about how you're going to conduct that in Riverhead and how you plan to involve the community.
Absolutely, the community will be involved. We are going to follow the protocol that almost everyone in New York State will be following, and
Yvette, we can't hear you.
okay. Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. We're going to be following whatever protocol most jurisdictions are following. This is in a formative stage, and absolutely the community will be involved.
On the earlier questions then about where you are on the financials and whether there was any,
as we mentioned,
has been or is it planned any kind of response to those two letters?
We are waiting for DEC determination. We're hoping to get a determination within the next month or so. Thereafter, we're going to assess and see where we are. This is a fluid situation, And, we will be vetting the financial, reports that they gave us. As I mentioned before, we're not gonna pay $40,000 now, as it was suggested, and CAT turns around and they produce 2 other different interested parties, and now we have to start the process again. So it's a matter of money, waiting for the DEC, we're waiting for, a subdivision, and then we're gonna assess it, we're gonna sit down as a board, and we're gonna speak to council, and we're gonna move forward or against the contract.
Yeah, and we're clearly all very dependent on what COVID decides to do to us, whether it disappears or comes back even fiercer in the
Well,
in the
unfortunately,
fall.
we're dealing with a health war that we can't control, that's invisible. And that we can't,
Right.
that's Mother Nature at its best, or worse. I've mentioned it before, there's been, 8 pandemics since 1700 in the United States, and 7 of them have surged higher than the first time. And that's why I'm urging everyone to be as careful as you can. Let's keep Long Island open, and hopefully what happened with SARS, where it actually, the water killed it. The acid in the water will kill it, and it disappeared actually. We didn't have to have a vaccine for it, so. All right, anybody else?
Anybody else want to comment?
No, thank you.
Okay, everyone, be safe and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion? Can I have a motion to close the town board meeting?
So moved.
First, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. We get longer with the Zoom.